You're listening to Puma Podcast.
Hi, you're listening to Teka Teka. I'm Jin Garcia. It's International Award season once again. The recent Golden Globes kickstarted this year's campaign last January 5 with The Brutalist winning Best Film in Drama and Emilia Perez winning Best Film in Musical or Comedy. Next up will be the BAFTAs, or the British Academy of Film and Television Arts, which will be on February 16. And after that is the Oscars, or the Academy Awards, which will be on March 3. This year, Thailand's sleeper hit, How to Make Millions Before Grandma Dies, is one of the films shortlisted in the International Film Feature category at the Oscars. Meanwhile, the Philippines has neither won an Oscar trophy nor got nominated in any category. Why is this the case? Obviously, we have talent. There's no denying that. From the time of Lino Broca, Ishmael Bernal, and Mike De Leon, to the time of the late Marilu Diaz-Abaya, and then comes the age of Lav Diaz, and now the new vanguards of Filipino filmmaking like Gerald Tarog, Dante Nico Garcia, June Lana, and Zig Dulay. There is no shortage of talent when it comes to filmmakers who have given us more than enough material over the past 60 years to submit for the International Film Awards consideration. Yes, we have been lauded for Insyang, and we have won several awards for Anak Dalita, Ang Babaeng Humayo, and Ang Pagdadalaga ni Maximo Oliveros. Plus, we must never forget how Dolly De Leon is now a Golden Globe and BAFTA nominated actress, all thanks to the Swedish film Triangle of Sadness. And lastly, the great late Jacqueline Jose won Best Actress in the Cannes Film Festival back in 2016. But the Oscars have remained elusive to us. Let's go back to one of our previous episodes, Why We Haven't Won an Oscar Yet, by Teka Teka reporter Bella Perez Rubio, who spoke with several key Philippine film industry players, such as film producer attorney Joji Alonso, now FDCP CEO and award-winning film director Joey Reyes, and Pangasinan representative and former child actor Christopher De Venecia.
Talk of Hollywood Awards was especially loud in the Philippines this season, with one of our own actresses, Dolly De Leon, in contention. She broke out on the international scene for her role as a cruise ship worker in the Swedish film Triangle of Sadness. Dolly was nominated for a Golden Globe and a British Academy Film and Television Award, or a BAFTA, for Best Supporting Actress, the first for any Filipino actor.
Our group of legislators was recently contacted by the group of Dolly De Leon if we could sort of pledge some kind of amount that will support and increase her chances on maybe nabbing an Oscar nomination.
That's Christopher De Venecia. He chairs the House Special Committee on Creative Industry and Performing Arts and represents Pangasinan's 4th District. But Dolly's Oscar dreams have since been dashed. Triangle of Sadness was nominated for 3 awards, including Best Picture, but she was snubbed. Just weeks earlier, lawmakers held this hearing to figure out what it would take to get a local film noticed by the Academy.
I was made aware by Liza Dino during her tenure in Film Development Council that to actually campaign for the Oscars requires money, resources, investments from governments in terms of ad spend, junkets, in terms of dinners and all these like mga PR.
The committee called Joji Alonso, an executive producer who's actually mounted an Oscars campaign before, to testify.
Our film in 2011 was Babae sa Septic Tank, and we were clueless exactly what to do because there was no actual guidance as to what can be done in an Oscar campaign. We had no funds to launch the campaign. So we decided to follow the suggestion of somebody for us to approach the PAGCOR, and PAGCOR was very generous to support us with 1 million pesos. That was the entire fund that we had to run a campaign, along with additional money from some supporters.
Uy, 1 million. Sounds like a lot, right? But Joji and her team would soon find that that was chump change in Hollywood.
trying to win an Oscar is a massive campaign. And when we talked to our PR group, because we had to engage the services of a PR group who was very kind and generous because they even returned to us the $386, which was left of our money. They said that the minimum amount that we can use in a campaign would really be $2 million. That was way back in 2011. I can just imagine how that amount may have already ballooned in this day and time.
That's right. $2 million, around 110 million pesos going by today's exchange rate. That's how much you need, minimum, to mount a serious Oscar campaign.
During our stay in Los Angeles sometime in November and December, we realized that that money was nothing. We were just laughing at ourselves because we were bringing with us a lot of Philippine fans, the pamaypay, to give away to those who would attend our screenings and our dinners. And we heard that in another venue, I will not mention the country, they were giving expensive watches and expensive wallets, which we could not compete with. And that film made it to the top 5, if I may say so.
A 2017 report from The New Yorker found that the cost of the modern Oscar bid can run into tens of millions of dollars. Big Hollywood studios, and now even the streaming giants, are known to splash out big to wine and dine awards voters. Not to mention the glitzy premieres and merchandise. Sometimes these big marketing campaigns are set before a film even starts production.
No matter how many dinners we have, 10,000 pesos per plate, that will not suffice for any film coming from our country to even make a small mark in the Oscar buzz unless we get the support of the government and raise enough funds to really launch a massive campaign.
Sadly, another film produced by Joji Alonzo, On the Job, The Missing Eight, also failed to get an Oscar nod this season. We'll pause here, but when we return, Direct Joey Reyes lectures lawmakers on what it'll take to succeed on the big stage.
We have to understand that mass media is the number one communication tool pa rin in the world, no? And kung ang barometer natin of mass media is the Oscars as the number one global recognition for the film industry, that's a major thing.
That's Paolo Villaluna, a film director and president of the Directors Guild of the Philippines.
Once you're recognized globally, in terms of cinema, no, hindi naman talent lang dito ang nare-recognize. Ang nare-recognize ay buong bansa. So this actually affects tourism. This actually affects cultural sectors.
In short, even just a nomination brings in big money. And South Korea is a prime example of a film industry generating business for other sectors.
Let's say a Korean film gets recognized. Suddenly, you now have input of tourists going into that country, trying to figure out saan nag-shoot itong pelikulang ito. Ano yung kinain ng mga characters na to? Bakit ganito yung kultura nila? There's an added value in terms of interest and curiosity.
Veteran director and Film Development Council of the Philippines consultant Joey Reyes was also summoned to the House hearing. He says we need to think bigger and plan ahead.
If we are going to use Korea as an example, and with Parasite winning the Oscars, about 2 years ago, it was not an overnight thing. It took a decade to do that. It took a long-term planning on the part of Korea to sell their soft economy, to turn their popular culture into a major exportable product.
To get to this level of success, he adds, will require the local film industry to make real changes.
Producers have to stop thinking in terms of Philippine audience as the world, because there is the world which is the real audience. As long as we are very insular in the kind of contents that we design, then we will only remain within the parameters of our territory. And we are actually losing the bigger market. With the advent of the internet, the world has become the greater market. And if we want Filipinos to achieve that golden age, we have to think not only of our country, but of the world.
But don't misunderstand Direct Joey. He's not suggesting that we pander to Western audiences.
I do not mean that we make films for Europeans or for Americans. We make Filipino films which achieve greater universality in terms of content. That is even the very idea of selling your culture.
But most importantly, every resource person at the hearing agreed. Ultimately, the government needs to step up.
How can we achieve that next golden age? Oh God, at this point, we really, really, really need government support. And that government support goes beyond lip service, but then a recognition of the real problems, which saddle not only the film workers, but most especially the film producers.
Panel Chairman Christopher De Venecia agrees both sides have to come together.
So really, again, the point is proven. To launch a successful Oscars campaign, resources are needed and the private sector cannot do it on their own. So this is something that we really have to work on. Public-private partnership moving forward.
Because as actresses like Dolly De Leon and all the greats who have come before her have shown, it's not talent that our local industry is lacking. It's support.
I am, for one, overwhelmed by the success of Dolly De Leon. But isn't it sad that Dolly De Leon is being recognized for a Swedish movie? I mean, it took a Swedish director to discover a seemingly anonymous, ultra-talented actress to be brought into international recognition. That, for me, is the irony which we need to change now.
And that's today's episode of Teka Teka. I'm Jin Garcia. You can catch me on all social media at JustFanGoing. That's JustFan, GOGHING. This episode was written by Bubbles Magpayo and edited by Anthony Tobias. The original story was written by Bella Perez Rubio, produced by Kat Ventura, and edited by Joe Salcedo. If you like this episode, share it with a friend or two. At para sa mahilig manood sa YouTube, Puma-podcast na rin po kami doon. Just search Puma Podcast and subscribe to our channel. Thanks for listening.